This is Baja Pips. It's Monday, May 8th, 2023, 8:10 a.m. in China. I just came back from a trip. I was just recently out in Thailand for a few days, but I'm back out in China and ready to get the week started. I'm very excited, looking forward to this week. I had to take a few days off. Actually, just took the weekend off. I normally work on the weekends, but this weekend was just some time to myself, allow me to refresh and take in and absorb all the information that I recently went over the past couple of months. Like take a little detox here and there from the charts and everything and get my mind right and just relax every once in a while. And yeah, I'm back. So those of you that were wondering where I've been at, that's where I've been. But I'm ready to put in some work this week. I'm using a different economic calendar. As you can see right here, this is the daily FX provided by IG. I use IG Brokers, so it's only right to use their economic calendar. Also, it's one of the better ones on the market that you can use for free. And just looking at the May 8th, my GMT time zone is +8. That's show y'all right now. +8. -8 is Alaska. I'm on the other side of the world, so +8 is, here we go, Hong Kong, China Standard Time. So this is what we're looking at for the upcoming news. 7:50 Japan news. I'm interested in looking at AUD/JPY because we are in the Australian Japanese session, and London session doesn't kick off for another 6+ hours, so I'm not really worried about anything in the Eurozone. I want to focus on Australian session and US session. The US session just finished, and so I think the most volume will be in the Asian pairs. I'm gonna go and do a little bit of trading to get that back, but I'm not worried. Just no emotions attached to it. I actually know a lot more. Like they say, take losses and turn them into lessons. So that's exactly what I did here. Was I just turned my losses into very valuable lessons. I have added Euro CHF. It was just on my watch list, and I'm gonna pick up on the watch list from last week. So I said I want to focus on Asian pairs primarily. US and Asian pairs. So I want to look at AUD/JPY first, so I can see exactly what we're looking at right now. And we have come across what looks like a possible continuation pattern on the 5-minute, but I want to take a look at the intraday time frames just so I can get ready for my day trading. Looks like it's bullish. I was actually bullish this pair last week. Looks like we're just starting to take off on the hourly. I do see a nice valid entry setup, and we are good for a market order. I like to do market orders whenever I get into the markets. For me, it's just it's more direct, straightforward. But before I do that, I want to just highlight what I'm looking at. So looking at 91.209 highs, they're just recently been broken. Without chasing the market, I do see a nice pullback to enter on. It's just, will this range continue to hold? Well, I believe so. If we're continuing to show bullish pressure, our previous bull run lasted about 65 pips, so that's more than enough to get to the higher end of this range. And we are in one mega range. You see this trend line is actually approaching the higher end of it again. I'm actually going to delete that so we can have a more focused on the more immediate price action. We have monthly highs at 92,439, and we have last month we had some lows that haven't been revisited. So we do have a couple points of interest. These lows are very far away at 87.8. So I'm gonna bring it up to 89.153, and this is the lower end of the range. So as you can see, we're in one large uptrend, or one large range overall. It is still a bullish uptrend, and 90.7 was the area that I would look to take out if I wanted to continue this bias for a north trade. There's about 170 pips from that point, and price already showing that it's strong for the buyers. There's no high impact news coming up for Australia. Japan just had their medium impact news, and that's just giving me the clear to look for some entries intraday. So I want this to be over by London session, preferably. So I have a nice pullback that I would like to get in on. I don't want to market order right away because I have bad experience when I'm swing trading and I place market orders. So instead, I'm going to place this market order and I'm going to use buy stop instead. I'm going to have about a 25 pip stop loss. So the buy stop is going to be at 91.362. So if I put the buy stop at 91.362, we're going to see in just a moment. We put 0.5 lots. So 91.362, just like that. And then the stop loss is I always put a stop loss with my orders. So with 91.055. And that's gonna be the stop loss. The profit target would then be sitting at 92.5. Just wanted to get a, exact criteria as to what's going on. That's gonna be my buy stop. Just a moment. So I'm back, and I wanted to assess this. Just had to take a quick break. 30 pips. I said I'd rather be about 25 around that, but I need to modify this order, so I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna do a 0.7 because, or 0.75. Could even do more. I could do 0.8 because see, the way things are going here is that it's not a 0.5% of my account. $163, still nothing. Let me do pending, do a buy stop. Let me do 1.2. This is just something that I'm doing just so I can see what my actual risk is. That's about 245, so that's pretty solid for risk. That's trade number one. I like the 15-minute because it's a good time frame if you're looking for good price action to trade intraday. Now I want to make this realistic. I need 2-to-1 target, and that's about 60 pips. At most 3-to-1 is 75, and this is 100. And you see, whenever something is kind of that far out, I don't really want to take the trade. At most, I'll take it up to 3.3-to-1, but I don't want to get greedy. I know the market can reward you for more than what you expect, but you should always go for those 3-to-1s. And occasionally, sometimes the market might give you more, but getting greedy can play a huge toll on your overall trading. Plus, you want to have realistic expectations. So if you have a 100 pip target, then a 2 to 1 is probably not the highest probable trade, and that would mean that a 2 to 1 would be sitting at maybe 50 pip stop loss, which would mean that my stop order is then another 25 pips away, which is like way down here, and that's gonna make my risk a lot smaller, and it's not my setup anymore. So, that could potentially work, but there's a lot of other factors that come in play. And if I want it to be a quick, outcome intraday, this is kind of how it has to be set up. If I'm trading, maybe swing trading, and I'm looking at days, then I could look at these highs and beyond that to be broken. But since I'm only trading for such a short period of time, I'm not concerned about that. And here's one reason why I don't go long or I don't market order, because, even though I would like to go long, price is going against that position. And if I did market order based off of this, not only would this be an invalid setup for me to go long, I would get possibly stopped out early before it goes in my favor. So, what I mean by that is price has been climbing up higher, and then it rejected these highs. So it's shown me that there's some sort of congestion and complication in the market. Now, in order for me to get back to that bullish status, I need this high to be taken out. Anything that happens below that is not really of my importance. It's just, will this high be taken out? And from the most recent area that I was looking at, which was a swing low and a swing high, is that swing low valid if this high gets broken? And if I answered yes to all of those questions, then I'm permitted to take a long. That's kind of like just stating the obvious as to why I rather have a buy stop. Also, just simply put, when I'm trading off the minute chart, I can fine tune my entries to the exact pip. So my timing is different because I'm looking at all these bars unfold on the 1 minute. But when I get to the other time frames, such as the 1 hour and 5 minute, you see how everything, even a 5 minute, you see everything is just much longer than 1 minute. So all of these would take at least a couple hours to unfold, and I would have to wait that long in front of my screen to see if the setup was valid or not valid. And if it's not valid, then I can't take the trade. So instead of waiting for that long, I have a stop orders placed outside the areas that I would like to trade. And I may not get the exact right entry, but this entry, for example, maybe 5 minutes ago, 4 or 5 minutes ago, right around, it says 3:10 broker time. So about 15 minutes ago, right around this area, you notice this is not a valid long entry on my 1 minute. So it's a small stop, but it's not the smartest, and I would have to have at least a 20 pip stop, and that's hoping for a trade. So I stopped doing that because you could get stopped out. It could fake out these lows, make its way on up, bottom out, and then show a continuation breakout to the north side, in which this would get triggered in while I'm not around. But if I market order it, then I might get faked out, and the market could go against me, but more than likely it'll be a fake out, and it'll go back into the range where I could possibly trade to the higher end if it's a big enough range, or it could just vertically pop up and knock out all these sellers, triggering my buy order, and we're taking off. So that's why I have that set up. I hope y'all understand. I'm gonna go on to the next pair. I'm just doing this by session, so if the session is not current or nearby, I don't want to trade the pair. So Euro USD, it's the European session is not open yet, so I don't want to touch that. USD CAD, it's just finishing the US session. As you can see, it's pretty much been bottomed out the entire day. So I am expecting a possible breakout according to the 5 minute. On the hourly, it has been dropping. Like that's a mean drop. So if you're shorting US dollar Canada, this is just the beginning. This is a lot of momentum. I like that when I'm looking for entries. but we are sitting at some lows. These are significant lows. So I'm just a little concerned. Will we break 75 pips lower and get to the end of this mega range, or are we going to be stalling out for longer? And from what I can see, we could possibly stall out for another few hours just because the market just opened up and we haven't fully really had the US session yet. So the US dollar Canada, we could experience another nosedive, but more than likely it's going to be just some break because we don't have US nor Canadian traders. Therefore, the volume is just going to be lower. Um, so I'm going to sit out of that. There is the Euro AUD. The European session has not picked off underway yet. And so I'm just a little concerned with that because, yeah, we might have Australian traders in the market at the moment, but we don't have European traders. So right now, the market is going down, but this little pullback right here, I need to see some lows taken out, and then I may consider taking a short. And those lows are about 30 pips away. So, without getting overcomplicated with this scenario, I don't want to be fully bearish just because my bias is clearly bearish on the larger time frame. I mean, it's obviously dropping, right? We know this, but it has stalled out for some time, and we haven't really seen price rise from there ever since. So that stall out is actually calling for, I'm going to box this zone out right now. So I'm going to insert and I'm going to place the rectangle tool around these highs and lows of this area. And what I need to see is price break this area. Right now it's breaching the lows, but it's reversing. We don't know how far up that's going to go. So ideally, I would like to just take a look right here, and I'm actually going to delete this box because it's making things more complicated than it needs to be. And maybe I can highlight it, insert the rectangle, and I can just take out the full image. So just a moment while I do that. And we are, just got my matcha latte. Gotta get those in the morning. I'm gonna check the properties of this, and just gonna take off the visual parameter of this. So I'm gonna draw object as background. Let's see if that works. There we go. Much better. And I want to make this a little bit brighter for you all to see. So just make that background white so we can now have a nice rectangle outlining the outer edges of that consolidation. So I do see a lot of weak sellers and buyers in this consolidation, and right now the buyers are actually holding this up kind of strong because sellers should have took it on out already. So I'm more favorable for buyers at the moment. And with that being said, I don't know how long this is going to go for. So ideally, if all these buyers are weak and they give up, then we have a trend continuation. But I have to assess that and just see. I need at least a 70 pip stop loss for this trade. And to me, it's just a little bit too early to get in on this. I mean, the daily ATR is showing it's 148 pips, so it's an ideal trade. It's an ideal entry getting below this range, but being half the ATR, that's a little bit wide. And I think I could find a better entry once price does break out through the zone. Because right now, I would be getting in at the worst possible price if it were to go down, because that's 42 pips away from current price. So me getting in at the worst possible price could just prove some disadvantages for me. And I don't want to be disadvantaged in a market like this that's already against me. So I'm going to just wait Get back to that. We have AUDCHF we can take a look at. Once again, we are at some areas of resistance, and price has pulled back from that prior area, and we are under 60 0.6525 highs. So I'm gonna delete that trend line right there, and yeah, just kind of mark up some new zones and get digging down on this. So I don't really see bears taking over for a while. I need to see a topping formation. The bulls are quite strong, and I will not go out to these time frames. At the 4 hour and beyond, it's just out of my context for what I like to hold through. So you'll only see me using the hourly now and being below. But we are at some highs. It is uncertain because price should have went up at the end of last week, and we actually just kind of stalled out and been kind of chilling since. We had a bullish push. They got rejected almost immediately. So it's telling me that the buyers in that area are weak. There's little information for me to tell of a continuation, but of course, seeing the most recent highs taken out again would trigger a long, but then we're gonna be stuck in between these highs. So I need to see the higher highs taken out first. Always, 0.60507, it needs to be taken out, and then only then will I be able to assess this trade. Right now, it's just too bullish for me to look for sells, and you don't want to force something that's not there. So these sells, they're not really there yet. They're not really in the market for me. There's little velocity. It's all been kind of moving sideways the entire time, and I personally don't see any opportunity in this pair. So it's going to be something I sit out. Like, I don't want to force a trade, and I don't want to look for something that's not there. So that's a loan. AUD/USD. Maybe I'll break this pair down next because we are not in the US session, but we are in the Australian session. There's a couple more pairs I want to break down. That's AUD/USD, AUD/NZD. I already looked at AUD/JPY, and we're just waiting for that. So just a couple more pairs I'm going to break down. I'm going to take a pause and get back in just a moment. Australian dollar against the US dollar. Right now, we are out of the US session. So I'm going to highlight some pros and cons for the AUD over the USD, and then I'm going to break down what I want to do. So pros, we are in the Australian session. We're in the Asian session, so the Asian markets are underway. Therefore, the Australian dollar has an advantage over the US dollar during these next several hours. The disadvantage is that we are at some extreme highs. We've been paused up there since the market opened this morning. The great news is that we're not far away from breaking those highs, so more than likely if those highs are broken, we shall possibly see a continuation north. Now, those are the obvious, and I know that. I'm going to bring this down to those highs at 0.67725. I'm going to look to the left, and there are more highs nearby. So that's telling me something. Since there's highs that are in the distant past, but they're not that far away in the past, and it's only 40 pips away, on the hourly time frame, I'm actually going to move that up, because I think that these two highs can be taken out at once, and we may even see a slight push on forward. So that's about 60, 70 pips away, and there's just highs chilling in that area. So this has been in the past a major turning point, as you can see. That's going too far back. That's all I really wanted to break down and show on that, was that this has been a major turning point until it was breached on the 3rd of April, and price never really respected that area ever since. And so I'm just taking note of that area, seeing that if we do get back up there, there's no longer those old sellers. They're no longer here. So more than likely, people are gonna sell out of hope, like what just happened there. and price is just gonna keep on shooting up, hitting these stop losses, and it's gonna keep doing that like it just did on the 14th, but it's not gonna respect that area anymore. So only area it's really respecting is the current swing highs. So as you can see, it went down, down, down. None of these are respected. This is a turning point, but it's been broken, and so these highs right here, I wouldn't put too much focus on. More or less these highs right here. That's where we're at right now. So we're gonna trade this. I'd wait for a breakout of the most recent zone, and then I would just go for the highs. Wouldn't really be concerned about this high because we already paused there. And if we're showing more thrust and strength north, I may be interested in getting in soon. That's about 25 pips away from current price. That should be enough bullish momentum to push on out. I don't want to see it just peak on up at 0.6075 because it could false break and then it could come back against me and stop me out. And these little ranges, these little tight, tiny zones are the ideal primal area for me to look for some nice longs or short, but it doesn't look bearish to me at all. So with all that marked up, that's when I'm gonna go into the 15 or 5 minute. It doesn't really matter. I think the 5 minute might happen faster, but I find the 15 a little bit more stable, when for me at least, because I like to get away from my office space sometimes and take a little breaks. In a 5 minute, you kind of got to be on it. We can see we're in a little range. You know, it's been going on for the day, and judging by this, we can obviously tell on every time frame, even all the way out to the hourly, that this is the range that needs to be broken. Preferably, if we can reach these highs right here, I'd be interested in taking a buy stop order. Problem is, how far away is that? It's about 22 pips. So ideally, about a 25 pip stop loss would be fine, if not more than enough. When I place my stops, I want to make sure that I'm wrong before I get out. So 0.67411 is where I'm going to place my stop loss on this trade. And this is my entry. And my exit is going to be, well, my entry is actually very close to those highs. And my exit is going to be, as well as unmarked right now, but I'm going to do a 2-to-1 reward to risk and see where that places me. So let's just do the math real quick. New order. I'm gonna start off with a 0.8 lot. Actually, I can do a standard on this because it's 0.6 the currency value. So let me see how much that is first. So buy stop loss 0.67411, and the entry is going to be a 0.67658. All right, and then this is going to be the one buy stop order. It's about 250. That's ideal. Okay, time to place a profit target. Profit target is going to be at least 60, 75 pips. Let's go for the higher end. 0.68419. Just want to give you all a visual, just so you can kind of see. So it's about 76 pips. I don't really look at the dollar amount, to be honest, y'all. The dollar amount is gonna fluctuate with your skill level. So if you're not consistently profitable, unfortunately, the money that you've earned, more than likely, you're gonna give that back to the market. You got to be consistently profitable in this in order to keep your money. So that's one reason why I don't really care about the gains. I'm more preserving my capital these days. So if it's not worth taking a trade, I'm not gonna take it. But if it's worth taking a trade, the money's gonna show later. And right now I just showed y'all a quick 3-to-1. You could hit that, maybe not. But I don't see any reversals in sight, and until I do, I'm gonna update y'all. If we do back out to the 4 hour, we can see that there's not really much of a pattern going on, but we did have heavy breaks to the low, and that was like this quarter. And we had a false breakout, major reversal to the north side. So we are gonna continue this bias that the bulls are strong right now, because they are stronger than the bears is showing. That bias would prove this point right. If you're looking at the 4 hour, we can see how Friday ended, 70 pips. Volatility is increasing. We should see at least another 70 pips north. Could be more, could be less, but I think that's a valid area to take profit based on the recent wave size. This was a pretty strong wave, and that was a fake out lower. So this was an entire reversal. So it's just something for you to take note of. But I don't really do candlesticks. That's pretty much my buy stop order, and I'm gonna wait. Don't know what's gonna happen. As you can see, there's no orders placed. There's nothing entered yet. Everything is just pending, and I'm gonna go on to the next pair, which is Audnzd. Seeing that we are getting into the European session in a few hours, Audnzd would be a safe pair to trade, as the session is already underway, and all the high impact news for the session is pretty much over. This is my entire day, so if there was something popping up in the middle of London session, it'll show, like it even says 43 minutes until my event. So there is like just medium impact Australian news, and it's medium, meaning that its impact should not affect my pairs too much in the movement. So that's why I like trading through medium term impact. High impact, it could be kind of volatile and kind of off. Seeing that it's high impact, it could have a high impact on my pairs that I trade. So medium is fine. I'm looking for a trade on Audnzd, medium impact. We can see that we have a slight reversal to the downside on the shorter time frame, and I'm gonna get to that in just a moment. But we are experiencing a false breakout high, and we are experiencing some major down move, and I kind of need to see what is happening before I really take a trade, because we could see a big downtrend unfolding, but the bears are not strong enough just yet. I need to see how the buyers react. And with that being said, it looks like something that already went underway on this time frame. It looks like it might be over soon. So looking at the 15 minutes, we can see that the sellers have been in full control this entire day. Unfortunately, this could be a false break north, and we could in fact start to see price drop down. But to me, I think that this is a little bit late on that move short, and it could resume its uptrend any moment. I'm trying to just see. I would need to see more sellers step in before taking this trade. I would in fact definitely need to see more sellers come in. It's just a little bit too soon for me to take a sell, if that makes sense. And I do need to see, like I said, more sellers stepping into the markets than what I currently am experiencing. Looking at the 5 minute, like I said, you can't really force trade. So if it's not really presenting itself, you don't want to just hop in. Because I could go for a sell right now. This is what I was doing last week, but I'm just in the middle of a bunch of congestion, and that's never a good thing. So with this congestion being underway, I'd more than likely be interested in a long if this sell doesn't work out. It's counterintuitive, I know, but and I don't want to be long all AUD pairs, of course, like being long AUD JPY and then being long AUD USD and AUD NZD. It might seem kind of suspect, but these are all AUD against these currency pairs, and you know, you just got to go with whatever your analysis says. Like I said, that medium impact news could be a mover for Australian pairs during the session today, and that could be a anomaly only experience today. So that's just my biggest conclusion with why these are all bullish. It's just coincidental, I know, but you know, can't really expect the market to give you anything really. It's just, hey, it's all bearish today, or it's two bearish, one bullish Australian pair. Like, I'm not guessing. Showing the analysis is just something that I've been able to identify while I've been breaking this down. That Australian dollar looks pretty bullish. So I have a currency volatility tool that I wanted to pull up. So just pull it up in just a minute. What do we have here? So AUD, interesting. Here's a heat map. So these are the currency pairs. These are what they're going against. So the GBP, Euro GBP, GBP USD, AUD, GBP AUD. Euro AU. GBP AUD. So it looks like the AUD is actually strong across the board. Looking at the heat map, we have Euro AUD. So that's strong, Euro. AUD USD is strong. The GBP AUD is strong. The AUD NZD is strong. AUD CAD is weak. Most of the pairs against CAD is weak right now. AUD CHF, AUD JPY looks like it's fairly weak. So just gonna take a look at the AUD JPY. Just heat map is showing it's weak, and there's no doubt about it. It is not too strong. But like I said, with high impact Australian news, it could, or medium impact, it could definitely shift this. And we could in fact see a reversal to the downside, but I need to see lows of 90.883 taken out first. That would then shift the sentiment for the time being, but I don't want to short it from down there because my stop loss would just be too wide. I'd actually be sitting at a 50 pip stop loss with a 50-50 scenario, because you know it could go down, but it could also go up. And if it does the latter and it goes up against me, then I'm gonna be sitting at a loss, or just in some trades that I don't want to hold through. So I'd rather just wait for price to react to that area. Unfortunately, it does drop down below those lows. I don't really have an area to place my stop loss just yet. So that's why I'm sticking with the neutral long bias rather than just going short. This though, this is interesting pair. We have some lows nearby and they can all be hit in one, but they can also be evaded. And 25 pips hitting these lows, 25 pips in a row, it's not like it's unlikely. It's just, what is the likelihood of that scenario happen after all this bullish move? Um, it's not as likely. And ideally, I'd like to get to the bottom of the range, which is set on May 5th. But as you can see, that's about 70 pips away. And the way things are looking, it's not as probable looking for a top with a 70 pip target. To me, it's just not likely. This would need to be a short, and I need to see price basically taking out all these lows before I consider it bearish. So with that being said, I'm gonna call a possible fake out. It may not happen, but let's just go with, if it does happen, a possible fake out to the lows. Could probably break higher and show and continue on up, but as of right now, the Audnzd is kind of stuck in some congestion as well. And I need to see price make its way on up out of this congestion before I consider any longs. And there's no shorts at the moment for me. It's like I said, on the 5 minute, I like to just see a better short opportunity. Yeah, we can have a fake out up, and then we can also have a fake out downwards. We don't need to break these lows and continue. So I'd like to see more assurance that that's gonna work out, because if not, then what do we have? Nothing. Just pure randomness, and I don't want to trade in randomness. So I'll probably check back on this pair throughout the day. It is something that only trades in one session, so it could be an all-day moving pair. Like AJ is definitely dropping. That's good to see. We don't know how low this is gonna go, so that medium impact news could have an effect on the price. But on the bear side, I like to see 90.8 broken. Then I may consider looking for some shorts, maybe. Because even after breaking those lows, I'd like to see sellers step in a little bit more to really confirm with me of a bear market. Or this might just be a push to the lows and that's it. It could actually just be a push to the lows. So I'm gonna wait till after this announcement, take a quick break, and come back and finish this video. No, like I said, not really too much happening across the board, but we can experience some move soon. That'd be great. Other than that, everything else is kind of just what it is. Did mention that Audcad was weak. I can take a look at that. Yeah, Audcad definitely looks like it could be dropping. This would be something that I'd be more interested in market ordering short if it drops any lower by a few pips. I'm glad I took a look at this pair because, not everything is in front of your face, but I was looking at UCAD, like it is bearish, but for me, UCAD I wouldn't trade because the setup is not there. But it is showing us very bearish, and then the Audcad, because it's AUD session, this has a higher probability of me taking this trade over the other ones. I want to just mark off a couple low areas. For one, I don't see support until 0.89464 just because The first area of support around 0.89740. That's so close to that secondary area of support that we could possibly see a 75 pip run south. I'm not sticking with the bias because I looked at the heat scanner and it said bearish. I'm just looking at what I currently see, and we are currently under the most recent swing highs. Therefore, we're in a range. And if we're in a range, connecting these two swing lows, you can see the visual much more clearly. We're descending, and we don't really need to match the tops because that's obvious that it's dropping. It's just picking up in magnitude, and I think that there's going to be a lot of strong buying, the selling pressure. Now it's 9 o'clock, so this is where that news announcement gets released, and you can see on the intraday time frame of 5 minutes, we do get a little bit slighter push down. This is why market orders are a little bit deadly, because you could market order it, but you need to be clear on your direction. So if I market order this, my minimum stop, there's always a minimum stop distance. That's the takeaway. That's the bad part about market orders. There's always a minimum stop loss distance, and you have to kind of be willing to sit through that. So me, if I take this short minimum, my stop loss is gonna have to be 40 pips. Of course, I can go for a 20 pip stop loss as well, but there's no guarantees of that 20 pip stop loss hitting, seeing that price dropped, broke some lows, and then went directly back into a range in which it's struggling to break out of. So you're going to be put into indecision if you just hop in right away. But if you have a pending order, you're not stuck in that area of the indecision. So 0.90175 is an example of getting away from that pending. You know, these things do happen, and it's an example of getting away from that noise, especially if you don't know your lot size. Sell stop is 0.9175, but stop loss is at 0.9410, and this is very accurate for my order placement. So 175, so about 23 pips, not bad, but I need more money in this. So 1.25, let's see what that yields. $219, solid. It's about 20 bucks short from the ideal thing, but this is not bad. It's just I need to keep the dollar amount proper, and 1.30. You got to make sure that you use the same amount of risk on every trade, or as close to that as possible. So important. 228 now, so 1.3 is not enough. Let's just do, but then I have the broker spread, so it's about 20 bucks, unfortunately. So to me, that's about solid trade, because when you're right, you want to maximize on those gains, and you want to be not just right, you want to be super right? So maximizing on these gains is important. So try to keep it around 0.5%. Me, it says 228, but then I have the spread and commission, which is like, commission is like 20 bucks. So I'm gonna leave that right there. But my profit target is gonna be at least minimum 0.89465. I'm gonna show y'all how I get in on this trade. I used to be excited to be in trades, but nowadays I'm like, yo, like, let's just get to the target or stop me out. So I'm looking at possibly a 23 pip stop loss for a 67 pip target. That's almost 3-to-1 right there. And that's just a quick in and out. I don't want to go for anything lower, even though I know it could possibly drop further. You know, I don't want to be the last one out. And so I'm gonna be done with this trade setup and on to the next part of my analysis. For now, that's Audcad. I'm gonna look at the rest of the pairs and add trades as I see suitable. Um, while the day continues. This is Euro CHF, so this is the European pair. So maybe give that a few hours. I do see a possible move on to the upside, but we could reverse on the smaller time frame. So I'm going to take a look at that. I believe that we're going to continue the momentum that we had in the markets last week, which was bullish. And I am on the buyer side. There's no high impact news that would really affect this pair through my trading today. And yeah, that's about it. Gold is back north. You know, I was bullish last week on gold, and I actually closed out at these highs. So I might take a look at that as we get into the US session later. But everything else is pretty much self-explanatory. I broke it down, the entire market. I said which pairs I'm going to stay out, which pairs I'm interested in taking trades in. We could actually go more bullish on the Audnzd as well, looking at this time frame. Like I said, it's just something that I need to monitor throughout the day. I need to see something bottom out. It looks like we're possibly hitting that bottom now, but I need to see further confirmation of an upside move before I go long on this pair. So if we can hit 1.07205 and show some continuance, which is right above here, then I may be interested in a long. I still need to see more of a setup before even buying that. And, you know, we are kind of far below. So ideally, I need to see 1.07314. I need to see that broken out for a false breakout move. I could then maybe make like a 25 pip stop loss on this trade. And that would be another easy, 50 pip target north, minimum. I think this is going to be a bullish day for the Australian dollar. Even though I do have an Audcad set up, it's not triggered in yet. And even if it does, it doesn't mean that I'll be wrong. This is the pair against the CAD. So, they all move different. They don't all move the same. That's just, whenever I have something that is against, it's against my overall trading. So if I'm overall bullish, dominant in the market, and I have something that's bearish, I just scrutinize that a little bit more. So that's what I'm doing for this. But I do see the bearish run more than I do see bulls right now. So it's telling me that if we are going to go down, it's probably going to drop significantly, really fast, and then start to reverse and pick up on in the day. That's why I have these buy stops so far away. They're not super far, but it could fake out up a little bit and then fall down and then drop more before it starts to move on up for the day. So that's the more of a complex situation, but that could also be a possibility in the near future. So ideally, I would like it to, knock out all this whole entire area and go north. But, it took a while for this to be built, this range right here. And I think that's going to respect it at least for some time. So, I would like to be bullish, but the nature of the trending market's saying that it's been moving on up on some solid uptrends, and then it consolidates and retraces at least half of what it moved up. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see a, retracement further down and then a move on up. That'll be more ideal. Like I said, I don't really like 25 pip stops. I more prefer like 15-ish if I'm going to be intraday trading. And so this is wide. I would need something a little bit more, a little less wide. So once again, if this could drop more as well and then continue to pop on up from there, that would be ideal. So not calling the direction of the markets, but kind of already just projecting if-then scenarios, all possibilities that can happen. Even with this, I like this before going long on this. It's just too tight of a zone. I would like to see price actually drop some more and then show a bullish move on up, because then I'd be able to trade within a wider range. See, this kind of already made some new bottoms, which is why I didn't want to sell into this. But yeah, ideally, I'd like to see a false breakout north, a drop back down, and that would confirm a possible bear trend on Audnzd for at least 30 pips, 20 to 30 pips, so to these lows. And like I said, to me, I could take that. It would be a top formation, but I'm gonna just stick with the ones I have more clearance and certainty to. That would actually be a nice trade to take for Audnzd, but I'm gonna sit that one out just because I already have so much of my volume in Australian pairs at the moment. I like to just keep it simple, keep it moving in a certain way. But Audcad is going to be the bearish one, and I'm going to do that as well. Is that when I'm in certain pairs, I'm going to just ease up on the volume that I'm using for that currency. So if my exposure is highly liquid in Australia, I don't want to take any pairs in Australia anymore because it's going to just, the bias is going to be too strong for Australia in any direction. So that would also throw off a trader. So you want to just be able to, okay, I'm gonna pick some of these over here. I'm gonna go, European session come in. I'm gonna, if I want to trade AUD, I'll trade Euro AUD in the Asian, like I broke down earlier in the European session. So maybe in like 2-3 hours, I can look back at this. But I don't want a ton of AUDs. It's gonna happen too fast. I'm gonna be too busy, and I like to just have things in a certain motion. So that's all, folks. I'm gonna update y'all as the day goes on, and that's it.